Hey there, it's Julie, and I am here live with you today. I'm super excited to be here. I have had just a incredible week and wanted to get on and share a little bit about what's been going on and how I feel about it. First, the big news, Kiki is 4, yay! Kiki is a granddaughter number 2, and we spent those of you who saw my Facebook post, we spent Monday and Tuesday at Disneyland, which meant I got to spend the weekend in Burbank with my best friend forever. I've known her longer than anyone other than my family members. So got to spend Saturday evening and Sunday in Burbank, and then we took off and did Disneyland for 2 days, 17 hours on Tuesday. Incredibly long day. Amazing that the girls made it that long. And while all of that was going on, there was stuff going on in the rest of the country. And I was aware of what was happening, really aware of my own privilege in being able to have this experience. Well, there were people who were out there being like head on facing hatred and vile protests, and my heart really went out. And so, hey Rachel, hey Chris, happy to have you with me. I'm just talking a little bit about my experience this weekend, and then we'll jump in, and I have some cool other stuff that I do want to share, but I don't think that I can really talk about like marketing and making money and those things without relating it back to what's going on in the country and what was happening this weekend. And so this weekend I was really aware of my own privilege of my friends who, I have a new friend that we met last year, and from whom I'm learning so much about what it means to be a Black woman in this country, and experiences that I've never had to experience, and things that she talks about, and what it means to her to have to ride her bike to the store and pass a statue that was put up to intimidate her, and to say, she wasn't good enough because of the color of her skin. So I was really aware of that going on. And I thought, what is it that I can do? Really, what is it that I can do in this experience where I'm playing at a very expensive place? And because going to Disneyland is not inexpensive. And what can I do from there? And really for me, it's about beginning in my own home, beginning in my own family, beginning, when you're with family, those little things that pop up that you're just like, that, by the way, was a Kiki face. But what do I do? And so really responding to each of those things with the most love I possibly could, and then remembering past hurts and past people who have wounded me, and being able to open my heart to that. And it wasn't easy, and there were moments, of course, where I was just caught up in everything, and there were moments where these memories would pop in, and where I would physically feel my heart opening, and I resisted, and I didn't want to, and I would say, oh man, do I really have to like send that person love now? This is my vacation. And I would do it anyway, and I would feel softer. And in that, I could then extend love out to the aggressors who are out there doing these horrible acts, and not love in a way that condoned anything that was happening or condoned anything that they did, but love in the way of, I wish you healing. I understand that you are acting out of pain and woundedness, and that I really, I honor the soul that you are, and that I know that you are deep underneath all of those things. And that's what I can do, And then I'm also really aware that because I've built this business, because I have built something that, because I've built a six-figure business, I not only can do the really fun things that enliven me, bring me more joy, and therefore allow me to give more, but I can give to causes I care about. I mean, I can send money to the ACLU, and I can send money to Southern Poverty Law Center, and I can send money to organizations that are doing the work to combat, in a way that I think is healthy, to combat some of the stuff that's happening in the world. And so when I come back to talking about business and I talk about marketing, I do it in that context that it's about you. It's about you having the life you want, but it's also about you being able to support the causes that you believe in, and to have the opportunities to do healing work in the world and to bring more love in the world. It's really hard to focus on how do I make a difference in the world if your focus is on how do I pay the mortgage this month. And so let me switch gears just a little bit. I had promised I wanted to talk a little bit about my evolution into this business. And I think what I experienced this weekend was another level of evolution. How do I have radical love when things are happening in the world that are just like turn my stomach? And how do I have radical love when someone in my life is stomping on me or stomping on my feelings or my virtues? And that part of the evolution, that part of growing me, expands me every time I express with love, every time that I respond with love. It expands me, and expanding me expands my capacity to not only serve greater, but also expands my capacity to receive more. And that means both receiving experiences, receiving money, receiving community, receiving love. And so this experience of how do I respond? I respond with love. I respond with love. And that doesn't mean I'm not taking action. It doesn't mean I'm sitting at home with my prayer beads, although I might be. It means when I'm taking the steps out in the world, so if you're out there at a march, how do I march in love? How do I march in peace? How do I, how do I respond to the neighbor who spent 4 years online harassing me and stalking me and, standing in my backyard staring over the fence because he was keeping an eye on, I don't know what I was supposed to have been doing back there in the backyard, but how do I respond to that? And how does my ability to hold love in those spaces change their experience, allow them a little bit of comfort to maybe heal some of whatever it is that's causing that behavior in them? I had this image the other day, and I don't know how it works. I really don't. And I don't know if we can do it. But I had this image of surrounding those people who are out there spewing hate, surrounding them with love. And as we continue to surround them, just creating this cushion around them of pure love. And what would happen in that cushion? Like, would that allow them to heal a little bit so that they had less hate? Or would it just like keep them separate from us, which I'm cool with that too, although I'd like everybody to heal because that's the kind of planet we live on. So, yeah, so how do we live more in love, and how do we create businesses in love? Hey, Tim Loomis, haven't heard from you in forever. Lovely to see you here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about my evolution up until this point, and how I really created the business that I have today, that allows me to have this freedom, allows me to work with wonderful women, and allows me to be able to give to the causes I believe in. And I actually started my coaching practice, oh my gosh, many years ago, which just makes me old. But sometimes with age comes wisdom. So I started this business, and at first, I was really happy just having a nice little coaching practice. It was very comfortable. I didn't do any marketing. I went to networking events. I hung out with my girlfriends. I had fun. I coached a few people. I made a couple $1,000s a month, and that was great. That was sufficient. And then the housing market crashed. And when the housing market crashed, my husband's business went with it. He's a city planner, and all of a sudden he wasn't being hired anymore because there was no more development happening. And that was his business. And so I had to figure out how to replace his income. And I did what you do when you haven't paid the mortgage and you're juggling the electric bill and the water bill and trying to pay just enough to keep it live. I pulled out a credit card and I hired a coach, and I learned how to market. Now, when I had first started my business, I took a class and I was told, find people's pain, really drive that pain home, make them really feel their pain, and then position yourself as the only solution to their pain. And that felt so freaking horrible to me that I didn't market. So this time around, I found a coach who really believed in love-based marketing. As a matter of fact, she founded the love-based marketing movement. And as she taught, I learned the basics of marketing. I learned how to get a speaking gig. I learned how to promote myself. I learned how to do social media. I fine-tuned my networking. I fine-tuned my follow-up. I designed programs and packages, which I'd never done before. I figured out why you do that and how you do that and how you add extra value. And I learned the formulas for marketing. I learned how to list build. I learned how to build a live event. I did all of that. And my business grew. My first 3 months working with her, my income doubled. And within 9 months, my income had tripled. And things were really looking good. And for a couple of years, I pushed really hard. And I really put strategies in place, and I really got good at it. And I could build a marketing calendar, and I could do all of that. And I was working 12, 13 hours a day, and I was loving it. But I started to get really tired. And one of the things I now understand about myself and about women is that we're not designed to generate like this all the time. But at that point, I didn't know any other way. This is how I had learned to make money, and I was making money, and I wasn't going to stop, and I was going to keep going, but my enthusiasm was starting to fail. and I was getting really tired. And of course, because I'm stubborn like that, I wasn't listening. I just was going. And so one day at a stoplight, I was stopped, and the car behind me decided that he didn't want to stop. Big truck, that he was just going to go through me in the car ahead of me. And it wasn't the first hit that really got me. It was the second time he hit me. You know, you get hit and then you freeze. And I really, really hurt my back. And what ended up happening is I couldn't work at that pace anymore. I couldn't sit at my desk. I could do one client call, and then I'd have to go lay down on ice for a couple hours. And it was crazy, because that was how I built my business, and I just kind of panicked. But I also started to listen. And in that listening, I understood that there was a different way. I really hated when people would say, I got a download. And I'd think, oh yeah, you got a download. Seriously, you thought of something. Come on, right? Anybody ever feel that way? Like, ooh, they got a download. What a bunch of horse manure that is. Well, I used to think that way until I started getting downloads. And so I started to have these downloads and these ideas, you know, as I listened and as I spent more time in meditation, and these ideas would come, and I'd be like, what, tell me more. What do you mean? And slowly over time, the art of feminine marketing started to unveil itself to me. And I started to understand this different way of marketing that was really more life-giving and supportive of the feminine soul and the feminine essence. As I started to move into operating out of the art of feminine marketing, my business grew again. I have more money today, more ease. I'm really having a great time with my clients. Yesterday, I was on the phone with a client, and we were not talking about business. We were talking about something else. And her niche just like came clear. It was like this veil was taken off, and all of a sudden she knew what it was that she was meant to do in her business and who she was meant to serve. And we both just kind of teared up, and I got goosebumps, and it was an amazing, amazing moment. And that happens because I'm willing to be in the mystery of the feminine. I don't have to know. Now, sometimes I do know. Sometimes I'll meet somebody and they're in their own confusion, and I'll just be like, oh man, I can see their business. I can just see the business they're going to have 4 or 5 years down the road. And sometimes it takes just being in the mystery of it and letting it unveil itself and doing the inner work until the person is ready for that unveiling to happen. And so I do a lot of that. And so, you know, there's just this place in the feminine of being with and allowing it to unveil itself. But that doesn't mean we throw the masculine out. The formulas, all of that marketing that I learned, how to build a program, how to design a marketing strategy, how to get speaking gigs, how to put together a podcast, which was a super fun project that someday we will revive the podcast. Everybody say, yeah, give me some likes for the podcast. Yay! So I learned all that stuff, and that stuff's really important. But it is not the source of running your business. The source of running your business is really your highest self, your feminine essence. And it starts there in the feminine, the creative, that place that likes to play and daydream and be in the mystery. And then it unveils itself. And the marketing strategy, the formulas, those create the container within which the feminine can be expressed. So the feminine is in the spiritual plane. It needs a way to become manifest into the physical world so that you can actually create that 6-figure income or 7-figure income that you're looking for. And so the masculine creates that with a calendar, a marketing strategy. I'm just looking, my calendar's over there. You can't see it right now, but I've got like my calendar with the strategy and with dates laid out on it. And that's very masculine, but it's done to support the feminine, the creative, the giving, the part of you that wants to make a difference in the world. Does that all make sense, what I'm saying? Great. And so I just want to say, I talk a lot about don't follow somebody else's formula. And I don't mean throw the formulas out. I don't mean like recreate the wheel. Understand the formulas so that you can then take them and tweak them and make them work for you. So my process when I'm designing marketing, when I'm designing a marketing strategy, is to first go inside, to have a conversation with my highest self and with the energy of my business about what my business wants to bring forth. What's the next evolution for me in giving and in providing for my tribe and the people I'm here to serve. And then I get out the calendar. I get out my little sticky notes and I start to lay it out. And then I go back to my business and the energy of my business and my highest self. I check in with my emotions. I say, does this feel like we're going downstream? Or does this feel like maybe we're trying to paddle upstream, which if you've ever been river rafting is very difficult and frustrating and doesn't get you anywhere. And so does this feel like paddling upstream? And then I say to my business, do I need to make any adjustments? Do I need to do things differently? And as an example of that, in the time period that I'm in now, we had designed in a number of webinars, and my business said, no webinars. Do Facebook Live. Get in here in a medium that I really love to play in, and I love to connect with everyone, and do some Facebook Lives. And so that's why I'm here with you. That's why I'm talking about this stuff and interacting with you. And so that's what we're doing. And so in my little calendar, I was able to take the sticky note off that said webinar and put one on that said Facebook Live. We're going to be doing a whole lot more of these Facebook Lives. I think next week. Chris can tell me yes or no next week. We'll do more Facebook Live and we'll get the videos out. We'll talk more about the art of feminine marketing, more about how you can apply that to your own business and your own dreams and goals. So to give you a head start, we have a couple of free gifts, and if Chris can pop those gift titles in there. The first one is the art of visioning. So that's the first thing. You know, I go in, I do this vision, and we really create but not alone. I do this in the spirit of being a partner with my business, a partner in the energy of those that I serve, and I create a vision of what I want my business to look like and where it will be in the next couple of years. And that's the first step in creating any kind of marketing strategy. Because if you don't know where you're going, you might as well sit home and watch TV, right? And that doesn't mean that it's set in stone. It just gives you a path to head off on so you know the next right step, and then you can take the step after that. So it's been great sharing with you. Time seems to go so quickly, but I do appreciate your attention and would love to answer any questions you have about creating your marketing strategy, checking in with your business to find out how to do that, what my process is. Super simple. So reach out, ask me your questions, and And then I think it's next week I'll be back. Yeah, like I can not come back. I'll be back next week. I'll be doing more lives. Maybe even this weekend I'll pop on here as I catch up from our epic Disney adventure. And we will see you all here on the Book of Faces. All right. Much love. Have a great weekend. Mwah.